Hi everybody, this is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a layout that I made for Stretch the Sketch and Christie's Beautiful Life, 30 Days of Sketches. And I love the way these ladies have coordinated things so that it's the same sketch for both Stretch the Sketch and 30 Days of Sketches. And you can see the sketch in the upper left-hand corner. The sketch for today is by Isabel Alvarado. And the Dotty About Flair prompt that goes along with Christie's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches is a pattern paper background. You may know that with Stretch the Sketch, we can either stretch the sketch and make it larger than 12 by 12 inches, or we can shrink it and make it smaller than 12 by 12 inches. Lately, I've been choosing to shrink the sketch. The layout I'm making today is 6¼ inches by 8½ inches, and I'm making an album that is in response to prompts from this fantastic class that I took with Janet Fritz. It's called Impactful Storytelling. Janet Fritz runs Stretch the Sketch, and she also ran this fantastic class. I created a lot of journaling in response to her prompts, and now I'm creating the scrapbook pages to go along with that journaling. In this class, I did a lot of writing about my mom, and I wanted to create a page about her. So I looked through my papers. I tried to find papers that I thought she would really like, and I didn't find exactly what I had in mind, but I thought that this My Mind's Eye collection, this is a very old collection called Lost and Found, had some elements that reminded me of her taste, so I decided to go with this collection. I printed out 3 photos to go along with the sketch, but then when I started making the layout, I realized there was definitely not room for all 3 photos. So I decided to turn the sketch on its side and then eliminate the larger photo. You could see on the right, that was the other photo I was going to use, but there was definitely not enough room for all of those photos on this layout. So I will keep that photo and perhaps use it on another page in this album. So far, I chose a piece of black pattern paper and I cut it to 6¼ by 8½ inches. Then I used a Martha Stewart punch, and you could see it in the upper right-hand corner. It's double-sided, and I liked the way that scallop was very small, so I thought that would be great for this layout. So I punched out a strip of that on some off-white pattern paper, cut it in half, and put 1 strip on either side. Then I cut a small strip of a black and white patterned paper, and I put a strip on both sides right next to the scallop. I have both of my photos mounted on white cardstock. The photos measure 2½ inches by 2½ inches. And now I'm embellishing the layout. I love using flowers on my layouts, so I have a box of different flower embellishments that don't go with any of the collections that I have. The flowers that I have already placed on the layout, those are from a Paper Studio layered sticker pack, and I use the whole pack on the layout. Now I'm adding some photo corners, and I'm just adding them to the right hand side of both of the photos because the other corners are covered up by the flowers. And I'm using some pattern paper. I'm inking the edges with this dauber that probably has some Distress Oxide in black soot on it. And I also use it for Distress ink with black soot, so one of those 2 things. And then I'm placing those photo corners right on the photo, and then I'm embellishing the photo corners with these very tiny Martha Stewart peach flowers. I thought they were a good match for the other flowers that are already on the layout. I also found these butterflies in the box that said flowers, but the reason they were in that box is because they were with a whole bunch of flower embellishments, and those embellishments are also older stash. They are by Marcella by Kay. Even though the flowers were a little bit too big for the layout, the butterflies were a nice size, and they also had black in them that went with the pattern papers. Now I'm working on my title. I absolutely love this die. It's from Elizabeth Craft Designs. I love the big flourish on the bottom. And I got this die from a Black Friday sales where a whole bunch of dies were $1. And so I bought, I think, most of or all of the title dies that they had, and I've been using them quite a bit. I cut the word forever out 5 times, 3 times out of a thick white cardstock and twice out of pattern paper. I wasn't sure which pattern paper I wanted to use, but then once I cut the word out, I definitely liked the paper that was darker. And then I figured I could just use whichever one I didn't choose to add a little bit more thickness to the title. So now I have 3 layers of the title glued together, and I'm gluing the pattern paper title on the top. And now I'm going to add that other pattern paper title to the bottom. And layering the papers like this really gave the title a lot of dimension, and I was happy with the results. I tried to make sure that there was gel glue covering the whole back of each of the die cuts. I had a little bit of trouble on the letter F. I had to add a little bit more glue and fuss around with that a little bit more, but everything ended up sticking together and staying flat. I found that when layering cardstock in this way, it's best to let the glue dry thoroughly before continuing to do other things to it, like adding ink to it. But I was a little behind on my scrapbooking. I just had some crazy virus for the last, I would say, 6 days. I was really sick, probably about 4 of them, and I couldn't even scrapbook. So that was very difficult because I had so many things planned for this month, particularly 30 Days of Sketches. But I am still going to try to get to those sketches. I absolutely love 30 Days of Sketches, and I love the challenge. So I'm hoping that, although I'll be a little late to the party, that I will end up getting layouts done for all of these sketches. So I inked the sides as much as I could and the surface of the title with some distress ink in black soot. And now I'm adding some glue to the back of the title, and I added a little bit too much glue, I have to say. It did end up drying clear, but in some of the close-ups, you're going to see that there's a lot of glue because it hadn't quite dried yet when I took the close-ups. I'm using some liquid glue to attach down the stickers that are on the right. I decided to take off the dimensional backing on those 2 flowers, one on the top and one on the bottom, so that they would sit underneath the other cluster. And then once I took the foam dots off of those 2 flowers, that whole cluster fit together better. As I said, this is a layout about my mom, and my mom passed away quite a few years ago now. My mom was a very beautiful woman. Unfortunately, I don't look anything like her. She was a very pretty, classy looking lady, so I thought that these 2 photos really captured how she looked. These were taken in the late 60s when I guess she was probably still in her 30s, and I just think you can really see her sense of style in these photos. I was looking at the sticker sheet that's to the left of the layout right now, and I found the word beautiful, and I was going to call the layout Beautiful Forever, but then I was thinking, oh, Forever Beautiful sounds much better, and that sentiment beautiful fit really well into the title underneath the word forever. So I popped that up on some foam and I added that in there. I thought that these strips of very, very tiny pearls would look nice next to the scalloped borders. So now I'm trying to fit those in. It's always better to apply those before putting so many embellishments on the page, but usually they can be worked around whatever's on the page. So that's what I'm doing now, cutting them into strips and fitting them behind the various embellishments that are already on the page. After I was already done making the layout, I noticed that these strips of pearls could use a little bit of glue underneath them. They attach down really well in some instances, and some instances they need a little bit of reinforcement. I knew I wanted to add a heart to the title, so I found this tiny heart. This is a Sticko sticker, and I added that to the layout, but then I was thinking that that smaller sticker was basically the same size as a lot of those peach flowers that were on the layout, and I wanted it to be bigger, so I got one of the larger hearts from the sticker sheet, and then I thought, why don't I just layer that smaller one on top of the larger one, and I put a pearl in the center and put a little glue on it, and that completes this layout. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'm so glad to be back to scrapbooking. It feels really good. I hope that you'll take a look in the description box. There are lots and lots of links to everybody participating in 30 Days of Sketches and also in Stretch the Sketch. There are so many talented scrapbookers who are creating videos for all of these challenges and lots of inspiration to be had. So I hope you'll check them out. And I hope to see everybody again soon. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.